The Flash Season 3, Episode 10, Borrowing Problems from the Future. This is our mid-season premiere, first episode of 2017, and honestly, I think it was an okay episode. I definitely liked it better than the mid-season finale, which I thought didn't really do anything outside of like that ending segment, of course with the Future and Savitar. But this episode, I think, was kind of similar to that, where the stuff I liked the most was actually what the episode foretold rather than what it actually had within this episode, because they go to the future, well, they vibe into the future, and they have this segment where they actually read the news headlines from like the wall scroll at the bus stop, and that led to like a bunch of cool moments where it's like, oh, this happens, and Killer Frost is still at large, and Gorilla Grodd's coming back, and Joe gets awarded for something, which means that there's some crazy villain that comes into play where something crazy happens and Joe ends up saving a bunch of people because he got awarded for it. So that I thought was very cool. I was like, okay, I really like that they're kind of leading us into what's going to be happening in this season. And it was speculated. It's television, so a lot of people already knew that Gorilla Grodd was coming back. I don't really look too far into any of the shows I watch because I don't ever want to know what's happening. So I had no idea about the Gorilla Grodd thing. So that was kind of cool. Like, okay, Gorilla Grodd's coming back. My favorite thing about that is the fact that they defeated Gorilla Grodd last time. They sent him to another Earth. So that has me really excited for what they might actually do, utilizing his character in the return, because it might be more, because they said like the city's still recovering from gorilla attack. It could have, they could have left that S off of there on purpose, where it's more than just one gorilla, and Gorilla Grodd brought some of those smart gorillas from that other Earth to attack the city. So honestly, I'm super excited to see what they do with that, and I hope they utilize the fact that, he's on another Earth and everything like that. So currently, that is my greatest hope, is that it's more than one gorilla, and Gorilla Grodd has like an army and stuff. That would be really cool, but I don't know. The city would probably be destroyed. It wouldn't just be like recovering, but we'll have to see how they play it out. But I'm excited for that. Of course, the Killer Frost thing, they've been teasing it, like, is Caitlin going to become Killer Frost? How long is it going to take? Is she going to be able to control it? And so currently in the future, she still becomes Killer Frost, and she's at large, it said. So they have like this crazy challenge now where they have to change the future, and they start simple in this episode using, excuse me, sorry about that. They do it using the villain Plunder, who, maybe it's just me, I highly doubt it, but I don't know why they dressed him like that. For anyone who may have watched Arrow, or does currently watch it, didn't he look exactly like Deadshot? Like, the Arrow version of Deadshot looks exactly like that. Like, he's dressed up, he has one eye, of course, it's Deadshot. He's got, well, he had the whole makeup thingy, the fake eye or whatever, the enhanced eye. So he has the eye patch on. He has, like, it's just a tactical vest. It wasn't the same color or anything, but he had the eye patch. He had the vest. Even his hairstyle was exactly the same, where it was kind of like wavy over to one side. I was like, that's like the exact same look for Deadshot in the Arrow series, and I thought that was so weird. I was like, why in the world did they do that? It made no sense to me. That it was almost like they forgot, like, he looked so much like him to me. Maybe it was just me. Maybe I'm just crazy thinking that. But I was like, this looks exactly like Deadshot from the Arrow series. The way they have him dressed up. Like I said, even his actual hairstyle was almost exactly the same as when Deadshot would be like in his full outfit. And I was like, that's just really weird that they would do it that way. But, he was really nothing as far as the villain goes. He was really just there as like, hey, you're kind of here to help us change the future. That was really it. He didn't do much. He was kind of there a little bit to help Wally get a bit of recognition. And I thought it was cool. I love that they utilized Wally in this episode. Didn't use him like too much, but he got some use in there. They had like the one cop, and he's like, what was Kid, well, he didn't call him Kid Flash until Joe said it, but it was like, he's just standing back doing nothing and everything. I was like, man, he's like really ragging on this dude who definitely just saved his life, and he's, whatever, that's just me. But I thought it was cool. I like that they utilized him. My girlfriend hates him. I mentioned that before, but she like hates Wally. No matter what happens, she like blames Wally. Like, it's always his fault and stuff, and I just thought that was interesting. Like, even when Barry, was mad for like no reason because nobody knew about the future stuff, she was still mad at Wally because he walked off. Which I was thinking, like, what else are you gonna do? Like, he's mad for no reason. Like, there's nothing to say to that. Like, he's mad literally for no reason. You think? And she was like blaming Wally. Like, look at him. Like, I hate him. I was like, wow. I don't. She just like truly hates this character because she thinks he acts like a child. But I don't. Me personally, I kind of understand it. I guess where like him wanting the superpowers and stuff. They do always give him. They do use every chance they have to make him mad though. Like they definitely do that a lot. Like I see that when I watch the show. Like they use every opportunity to make some argument with his character where he's just like, I don't want to deal with this, and he walks off. Like they do that for sure. Like I definitely noticed that they use that on his character a lot, which is really weird. Like he always has some issue, and then it's like, all right, well, I get, I just want to freaking have superpowers, and he's facing all these obstacles and just like whatever, and he just takes off. So that is how his character is. So I could see that a little bit, but I like his character. I still like him. He saves Barry's life and stuff like that, like him being Superman and stuff. But I like what they did with that, and he's coming into his own right. He is officially Kid Flash. Like the people randomly chanting his name for no reason whatsoever. Like no one does that. Like it's like, oh man, like nobody is. I don't. They probably did. I think the only time I can remember anyone chanting Flash in this series was when they had Flash Day, which, if I remember right, was like the season 2 premiere or something like that. And it was like Flash Day, and they had the whole event and everything. Other than that, nobody cheers anybody's name. And he stopped like one random dude, and then and it was a small chant too that made it even funny. It was like my girlfriend pointed out, it was like it's like 10 people chanting. It was just really funny, but. He's coming into his own right. He's, getting his name out there. He's running around, helping out and stuff. But I thought it was cool. It was really sweet to, they have 2 speedsters, and they actually used them. Once again, kind of like most superhero shows that try to hold off on having too many superheroes. This is kind of the episode where they still held off a little, because it was like sometimes he was there and then sometimes he wasn't there. So I'm hoping that we really do get to the transition of they're both just actually fighting every single time, and it just takes a while depending on the villain. So I'm hoping that they end up doing it that way, and it's not always either Barry's here or Wally's here. It's like they will both be there. They both have super speed. It makes more sense. Just because one person has super speed doesn't mean the other person shouldn't show up. I mean, they have super speed. It takes literally 2 seconds, 1 second, because there's 2 of them now. So there's no reason that they both shouldn't always be there just because one person has super speed. It's like, he's got it. He's got super speed. Like, obviously, based off of the past 2 seasons, that doesn't always work. So they should both always be there, but I'm sure there's always going to be excuses as to why we don't always see Barry and Wally in every single episode fighting. Like, that should just always be the case, because it just makes the most sense. They're in the city helping the people. So that's just me. That's just a little rant, because I feel like that's where we're headed, where it's always going to be some excuse. I could be wrong, and I really hope I am, but they just keep pushing it with this show. Like, everybody keeps getting powers, but it's still just Barry running around. Like, everyone who's a good hero ends up dying or going away. Of course, all the bad metahumans end up dying or being locked away. And like 90% of the metahumans end up being bad. Like, it's really weird how they do it. But aside from that, still enjoyed the episode. It was still cool to see Wally and Barry teaming up. They do the simple thing with the fire and stuff, and Barry's like, alright, so if we do this, the inrush of oxygen stuff, very scientific, like, because he's a CSI agent. But that was really cool. I was like, alright, that was a cool little explanation. Like, the fumes are trapped inside because of the smoke coming out means the fumes are actually trapped inside. So if we open the door, it'll actually cause a big explosion because of the rush of oxygen. And I was like, that's actually pretty cool. And, they use science on it. He's like, alright, so we have to basically cancel out the explosion. And so he sucks out, basically he absorbs the air by spinning his arm. So that was really cool. We also got to see Barry face in this episode, which is pretty sweet, when he's running from like that future tech gun, which also was very interesting. I was like, there has to be some crazy explanation for this, because that gun had like tracing bullets that were falling behind Barry. It had little mine, like this was like one gun, and it had like 14 different types of ammunition in it. It shot out a minefield that was meant to slow them down. He shot out when they were like running through the alleyway, but after he used that minefield, or the force field, I mean, he shoots out like a little thing, and it separates into like 8 different little mini bombs and stuff. And then he has just the normal laser bullets, and then, like I said, the tracing bullets that follow Barry around. I'm like, where did he get this gun? Like, I felt like they introduced it, but they didn't talk about it nearly enough for me, because I'm like, he's just robbing banks and stuff. This guy could be like taking over the world almost with this type of weaponry. If he had like 5 more people, they could like destroy the entire city with the stuff he was doing with that one gun. So I feel like that might be something that they kind of just hinted at that's gonna take place, in a later episode. There's got to be somebody who sold him that gun, because it was way too tech based to just be like, yeah, I just whipped this up, no big deal. Because he, like I said, he had like a million different types of attacks, all from this single weapon. So I'm excited to see if they decide to, really explain that, where everything is going to come from with that weapon. I just feel like there's something to that they can introduce another part of the DC universe, because there are a lot of tech people within the DC universe who are actually villains. So I feel like they could definitely do that if they wanted to, but there's got to be something. Like, I refuse to believe that this guy just had that gun and they never explained it. Like, I need an explanation, because I'm like, that gun is way too powerful. And they even mention it like twice, I think, and then it doesn't become like a big part of the story. So I feel like there's something there. Like, I think that's one of the other things that they hint at that, we'll get more explanation on in the future. But, going through it, enjoyed what they did with the villain. Like I said, mostly the action stuff, because we got to see Barry and Wally run around a lot, so it was actually kind of cool. Except for the part where Wally was trying to take the guy out on the motorcycle. The way they filmed that, it just looked really weird, because it was him just naturally running. They just added the CG. So he just looked weird in slow motion, because it was like, it wasn't like him already running. It was like when he like first starts jumping and he does like a little jump, and then he runs, or he first starts running. So he does like a little jump and then he runs, and then they have him in slow motion when he does like the big jump in the air, and I was like, this just looks kind of weird in slow motion. Like, they added, of course, the lightning, so that made it look cooler. I was like, this just doesn't, something about it just didn't look right. Like, it would have made, at least to me, because they've done it before, I think it just would have been cooler if he was just running at super speed, and then they just did it in midair. Like, we didn't need to see the whole jump, like where he actually like jumps back and stuff. Like, it just looked weird in slow motion, and it's just one of those things, when you see it normal, it's just like, okay, that's just, boom, he did a jump and he was going to punch him. But when you see it in slow motion, like every little form that we make, things tend to stick out, and it just looks unnatural, because it's something that would normally take like 2 seconds, and it's like slow motion wind up, and he's like jumping through the air like the big superhero punch. And I was like, it just looks a little weird. It's just a weird little thing. And then, of course, he got like completely destroyed, because he shot him in midair. It was kind of funny. But that looked weird. But other than that, I really enjoyed this episode. HR was hilarious in this, trying to get the museum going. And I don't know what the heck he did. He didn't promote on social media, clearly, because nobody showed up. The one person that did show up didn't realize that it cost money. So I'm like, I don't know what type of ads he was putting out in the world. But that's falling apart. Apparently, it's supposed to close. That was one of the headlines. So there's, they have to work to fix that. But also, we get the actual ending to this episode, where we find out that, well, this is in the promo, they actually say it, but HR is actually a criminal, and we have this random woman jump through a portal, and now she's looking for HR. So that should be interesting, why he's a fugitive. I'm very curious. Like, maybe it was something to do with him going to a different world or something like that. Maybe it was supposed to be someone else that did it. We do know, clearly, I mean, she jumped through a portal, so they have that technology to jump through universes. So that should be interesting to see how that plays out, because she seemed to just have a portal. It's like, alright, because Barry like came at her in the promo, and she was just like, alright, and she just threw him through a portal. I was like, okay, well, I can't wait to get an explanation on this. Is it just like a watch or something that she has? They do clearly have more advanced technology, like the face thing that Wells uses, or HR uses to hide his face from other people. So they clearly have much more advanced technology than, the Earth that they're on. But that was a good episode. Like I said, I think the episode was better for what it was, telling us is going to happen, and, what it's leading into, because it's like, even the characters know this is what's supposed to happen. Now we have to change it. And that's always kind of exciting. What will they change and what won't they change? It's kind of like, it's literally a race against time. Like, they have to do everything they can. And we might see them go back. I mean, that's kind of the point, is like, alright, so all we have to do is change the headlines. And, they had it in this episode where HR was there in the future now when he wasn't before. So we'll get to see that over and over again, which I think would be pretty cool. Like, just minute updates every single time. Like, okay, this happened, and this news story was different, and this news story was different. But now that they've changed these news stories, there have to be other ones, and most likely with it being a superhero show, it'll just be more, newer problems. So I'm excited to see how they utilize their ability to vibe into the future and kind of relive that experience and see what's changing and what's not changing. So I'm definitely excited for that one. But like I said, I did enjoy this episode. Totally forgetting his name, but the guy who was from Harry Potter, I can't think of anything. But Lucius Malfoy, he's a part of the team now. I wish I could think of his name, but I seriously can't right now. But he's joined the team, which I thought was actually kind of cool. So we have a new character to help them out with all their random issues and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table for the series. But just in general, I did enjoy this episode. I'm just more excited for the stuff that's coming up. It's like, hey, this is gonna happen. Killer Frost is still a thing. That's probably what I'm most excited for. Like that, and like Iris, of course, is number one because she's supposed to die. So that's like the number one thing to see them change. And then right under that for me is definitely Killer Frost because they've been teasing that for such a long time, and it's just like, how in the world are they going to end up saving Caitlyn? I'm so curious how that's going to play out. So I'm very excited for the stuff that they've hinted at. But like I said, I still enjoyed this episode. I just didn't think it was like a phenomenal episode or anything like that. It was a good episode. But of course, I want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And with them having all these headlines and stuff like that, I would love to know your predictions on how how the headlines are going to end up playing out. Why was Joe, being awarded and stuff like that? Which actually, now that I think about it, that means they have to stop Joe from being awarded. So that kind of sucks. I didn't even think of that through the whole episode. I just thought of that, like, oh, they have to change that headline because they have to change. They want to change everything. So, how does Joe end up getting awarded? Well, the Killer Frost thing, I think, is obvious. Just the device stops working, so she turned, and like we saw that in this episode. But I want to know what you guys think about the headlines and how they may or may not change, and how you guys think that'll end up affecting the rest of this season. So, I'd love to know what you guys think about that, and of course, the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.